Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling a guy what I do for work and letting him pay for my drinks during the whole evening? My friend, Grace, invited me to a board game bar to play and have drinks with her, her boyfriend, and one of their friends, Nick. We went to get drinks in pairs, Grace going with her boyfriend. Meanwhile, Nick and I stayed at the table and vice versa. So, Nick and I had plenty of time to talk, just the two of us. Nick started the night by telling about his recent career change. He decided to quit his previous job, go on a coding boot camp, and he got a job as a developer 1 or 2 months ago. He was very proud of himself and his new salary and told me this multiple times. He never asked me what I do for work, but talked about his new job quite a lot, occasionally saying, "Sorry, you don't understand that." During the entire evening, I never told him I've been working as a software engineer for the past 4 years, because he never asked, and honestly, I found it a bit entertaining. When it came to the drinks, he invited me to every single one. "Don't worry about it, it's not a problem with my developer salary." I told him multiple times he doesn't have to pay for me, but he insisted. At the end of the night, when we were saying our goodbyes, he took out his phone and sent me a friend request on Facebook. My job is listed in my profile, so that was when he realized that I'm a software engineer. He asked me if it's true that I'm a software engineer, and I answered yes. He asked me why I hadn't told him. Why did I let him believe I was a cashier like Grace used to be? I never implied that. And why did I let him pay for everything when I probably earn more than him? I told him that he never once asked, and it was his fault he assumed. He could have simply asked me about my job, but he only wanted to brag about it. But if he wants me to, I can pay him back for the drinks. He was angry and said I made a fool out of him. I think he did that, not me. But now Grace and her boyfriend are on his side too, saying that it would have cost me nothing to tell him early in the evening, and I only kept it for myself for my own entertainment. Well, I did find it entertaining, but I don't really feel like I did anything wrong. Am I the a-hole? I'm gonna kind of put blame on both parties here. Like, on one side, I think it is his fault for not asking any questions and just assuming things about this person. Like, it's granted, I also think that he's very excited to have this new job and just wanted to talk about it. It's what's on his mind. So he's maybe a little forgetful about that. I'm not saying he's a jerk for not asking. But, I mean, it's the polite thing to do. It's kind of on him. And the fact that he was always paying for drinks, and she was like, "You really don't have to. I can pay for myself." And he's like, No, I got that engineer money." It's like, well, then that's kind of on you, you know? She let you know that, no, I have money of my own. But also, I think it's a little bit on you. You admit that it was, it was entertaining for you. And it would take very little when he's talking about engineering and saying, "Oh, you wouldn't understand that," for you to go, "Well, no, actually, I work in software engineering. I know all about it." So I don't think you're blameless. I don't think you're necessarily an a-hole for this. I think you both kind of goofed. And I think it's pretty harmless. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people are making a big deal about it. I don't know why he's like so upset. So yeah, I don't know. This doesn't feel like a big deal. Story 2. Don't like my silly job? You don't get its silly perks. So I work in technical theater as an assistant stage manager. There are a couple of theaters in the area, but the tech community is rather small, so we all know each other. I work for a smaller theater, but I know a few people who work at the largest theater that hosts the traveling Broadway shows. These shows are really popular and hard to get tickets for if you aren't a season ticket holder, and season tickets can run about $1,000 per seat for 7 shows. Tickets are normally about $150 for an individual show, but can go up significantly if they know the show's going to be popular. The husband of one of the directors that I work with is on the board of the theater and sometimes can score good seats at a discounted rate. This season, Aladdin is coming to town, a show my future mother-in-law has been dying to see. She asked me if I could possibly get her and a friend a seat so that they could go see it. I called in a favor with my director, and she managed to get 2 prime seats. Since her husband is on the board, she gets a discount, so the tickets ended up only being $75 for the 2 seats. I reserved them in my name with the understanding that future mother-in-law will pay for the tickets. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and future mother-in-law invites me and my fiancé over for dinner. Dinner goes well, and I end up in a conversation with future mother-in-law and future sister-in-law about housework. I don't know why. Future sister-in-law is a teacher, and she's married to an accountant, so she said that her and her husband try to split the chores 50-50. Future mother-in-law thought that was fine and asked how fiance and I would do it. We don't currently live together. I said, probably the same, 50-50. Future sister-in-law agreed, but future mother-in-law gave me the stink eye. I asked if there was something wrong, and she said, well, fiance works full-time and you don't, so I don't see how that's fair. I told her that I do work full-time, just not at a 9-to-5 like fiance. Future mother-in-law then laughed at me and said what I did wasn't real work, and that it was just a silly side gig, and that maybe if I got a real job, I would know what it's like to really work. Then she changed the subject. This peed me off because I am very proud of the work I do. I may not be a 9-to-5, but I love my job. It is my dream job, and I do make enough to cover my expenses. It actually takes a certain amount of skill to properly stage manage a full-scale production. So, enter pettiness. I called up the box office for the large theater and told them to cancel the tickets. They were in my name, so they gladly canceled them. I then texted family and told her if she thinks my job isn't real, then the side perks aren't real, so the tickets were canceled. I then shut off my phone. The next day, when I turn on my phone, I see several missed calls and about a dozen texts from family. She is fuming because her friend is coming into town specifically to see this play. I called back and told her she might still be able to get seats if she called the box office. She ended up getting seats, but they cost her $150 each and they weren't as good. Hopefully she's learned not to insult someone and still expect to benefit from them. Okay, to this future mother-in-law, not only is being an assistant stage manager a real job, it is a tough job, a demanding job. There is a lot of stuff that stage managers, assistant managers, and all the tech crew on theater have to do. I've done quite a bit of just community theater. This isn't even professional level stuff, This is stuff that we've done, just locally or whatever. And a lot goes into that. The people on the tech side of things work their butt off. And to work as a job as an assistant stage manager is so much more. And I have a ton of respect for them. I have mostly just been on the acting side of things, and I could not have done anything without all the work they put in. So folks, treat the tech, treat the managers and all that with so much respect because they are the reason that theater happens. Without them, you just end up with just a messy disaster. So show them a little respect, future mother-in-law. You are lucky that she didn't call in a favor and say, and also don't sell any tickets to this person. That makes me mad. Story 3. Someone suggested I post this story from my wedding here featuring my husband's ex. Important info. We decided to have a micro wedding with just our immediate family there, around 10 people. We got married at a venue that's known for holding very large events, but we rented a smaller room there. My husband has a child with his ex, so sees her quite often for things related to my stepkid. We were always planning on inviting her to the wedding to see their kid all dressed up and generally keep a good co-parenting relationship. Before we had invited her, she informed DH that she'd be there and asked when and where it was. He was a little taken aback, but as we were planning on inviting her anyway, we just told her. On the day, she showed up to our morning ceremony wearing the shortest dress I've ever seen over stockings and suspenders. The suspenders could have been seen for a good 6 inches before the bottom of the dress, skyscraper heels, nightclub makeup, and costume jewelry. My father actually pulled me aside to ask who hired a stripper. I found out afterwards from mutual friends that she had texted all of them asking when they were getting there because she had invited herself. We hadn't thought to let her know it was such a small ceremony, and when they let her know it was family only and the reception was completely separate, she began to panic a little. And I had the best petty revenge. I asked everyone to be extra nice to her. Every time she tried to sneak away, someone would engage her in conversation. She was extremely uncomfortable and ended up sitting down with her coat covering her. The wedding went off without a hitch. I'm not sure what she expected to happen, but it all worked out fine in the end. Well, I'm glad that it at least worked out fine. Why would she want to do that, though? Like, seriously, if you're trying to have, like, a good co-parenting relationship, all that stuff, even if you have issues with your ex, what do you think you're going to accomplish by making a scene or, like, interrupting their wedding in some way? You're just going to turn people against you. Do you really want that? I feel like whatever impact you might have on the bride and groom, it's just going to be more negative impact on your own life for doing something like that. Seriously, folks, this kind of pettiness is not going to have the impact on other people that you think it will. It is only going to come back to haunt you. Like, she's going to be thinking about that and embarrassed about that for years. I am certain, that is something that she has to live with now. So just let stuff go sometimes, folks. It's not worth it. Story 4. My parents keep breaking my PS4s that I pay for and continue to threaten to break every new one. Okay, so I've been trying to find the right place to talk about this since I don't really got anywhere else to talk about it. There's another place this belongs, please let me know. I'm going to start on the first PS4. For a while now, my parents are pretty big fans of breaking or disciplining us if we misbehave. But as time went on, their discipline did not affect me because I was used to it. Since I would show no reaction like they wanted to, they would result in taking or breaking my belongings. They would always use the same saying, "There isn't democracy in this household, it's dictatorship, and you do what we tell you when we tell you." So many times I've wanted to say, every single country that tried dictatorship has failed. But I'm just trying to get the whole situation over with and not be called a dumb butt by my dad, lol. I can't remember the reason why the first PS4 was broken, but I can remember the last two, and I will say how and why they did it. The second PS4 I bought was a new one just like the last one with the whole terabyte. It lasted for a while. Fast forward a couple months later, my brother and I got in an argument completely not related to the PS4. My mom gets mad and says, "Since you guys always want to argue, I'm throwing this PS4 away." We were obviously still mad at each other, but then I noticed what she said and went on to ask, why is she throwing out the PS4 I paid for? And she went on to say, "This is my house and you will do what I say, and this PS4 is a demon." So legitimately, I continued to throw my PS4 about 5 feet off the ground onto the grass. I was just in disbelief that she broke my PS4 over something that had nothing to do with it. On to the next PS4. I obviously lost trust in my family, so I bought a used PS4 with 500 gigabytes for $180. I'm pretty sure I was robbed, lol. The first thing she says when I get the PS4 inside the house, she says, "I can break this one just like the others." I was annoyed and I just responded, "I'll just break your TV then." And she laughed it off. Obviously, I wasn't going to break the TV because I don't like getting my butt beat by my dad. Fast forward a couple months, and I got into an argument with her because I said, "I'll do it right after this match." And for some reason, she decided to unplug my PS4, grab a bat, and in front of the neighbors, break my PS4. She believes I'm emotionally attached to the PS4, and it's a demon, which I am not attached to it at all. Just annoyed my money has been wasted again. All I said was, if you're going to make me watch, at least do it inside without the neighbors watching, after it all. She again discussed how, "You do what I say when I say, you should be thankful for all this," and whatnot. At this point, my payback was simple. Just stop communicating. I started becoming a lot quieter and not telling them about what I'm thinking and stuff like that, just overall being the quiet kid. I rebought another PS4 cheap, and I kid you not, I got the "I'll break this one also" BS. Luckily, I still have this PS4, and I've been not using it at all with her inside the house, clearly showing that I don't trust her at all. She realized this and said, "Why aren't you playing?" And I happily responded, "Because you might break it." I didn't look at her face because I was on my phone, but all I heard was her leaving my room, which actually felt great to finally let them know I don't trust them at all with my belongings. If my new PS4 is broken, I'll make sure to update this forum, but as for now, I'm grounded from using my PS4, which is new. They grounded me because I was watching TV during class. After having this post up and replying to many comments, I finally come to my senses, and I'm really sad about how I really feel, and I've been hiding my feelings to myself. Thank you everyone for helping me realize what's wrong with this. A good amount of people have said, "You are addicted," and somewhere along those lines, but I will explain why I get so many PS4s. I play the game to be happy and to make money. It's a source of income for me. Not only that, I talk to people on a personal level that do help me with my issues. Gaming isn't always, "I better win." The community on PS4 has helped me a lot. There was a point where I was considering self-termination, and a middle-aged man said, "I bet you have it tough, but at the end of all that hardship is a reward that you've earned." I will never forget what he said. And to this day, I talk to him about my issues. I want to make it clear that the main reason for buying a PS4 is not to play games, but to talk to someone. Talking to people over a hotline isn't the same as talking to a guy in his 20s or 30s telling you how he overcame his problems. The gaming community is the reason I'm breathing, and I can, without a doubt, say posting this story helped me so much in realizing my mistakes and what I should do. While I was reading all of the replies and comments, I've come to a point of tearing up because I blocked out everything that's wrong with my family. I couldn't thank everyone enough, except for the one guy that said, "Stop crabbing and grow up." You, sir, are the human embodiment of used toilet paper. I've decided to start saving up my money to leave this toxic household. I'm going to try and buy an apartment or find myself a roommate. I don't really want the police involved in my problems as well, mainly because my parents aren't from here, so if they get deported, it'll cause issues to my siblings as well. As soon as I'm 18, I'll take a lot of other people's advice and make a separate bank account and block their number for around a year, basically separating myself from their life in general. I had a very long talk with my cousin about my parents, and he said exactly, "Listen, man, this is something even my mom has noticed. She was a bit sad you've become numb to the things your mom and dad say to you." He then went on to tell me how my parents treated others, basically being jerks. Again, thank you everyone for all the advice and such kind things you've said. It really means a lot. I hope I can give you guys a better update in the future. Meanwhile, I'm probably going to post stories about my parents around Reddit a lot. First off, I cannot stand parents who use this mentality of, "It's my house, my rules, and I'll break your stuff if I want." Like, that's gross. That's basically like prison rules, which that's not a great way to foster a family. I mean, it's not a great way to even run a prison, honestly. It's inhumane. And to parents like this, do you want your kids to hate you? To grow up to not want anything to do with you? Because that's what most of you parents are going to get. Kids who don't trust you, don't like you, and will avoid you at all costs. It's just bad parenting. Plain and simple. As far as this person, I'm glad that they're keeping a level head, and they shouldn't have to justify wanting to play some video games and stuff. It's okay for people to have outlets, and anyone who's like, "Oh, you're just addicted." No, you know nothing. You've read a short post about a person. You don't know how much they're playing or what. And a kid is allowed to have an outlet, video games, sports, bird watching, whatever. And to take that away from them, to destroy something that they've bought with their own money as a form of punishment, just sucks. And people who would do that kind of stuff to kids suck so hard. So think about, just think. That's all I'm asking now. Please just think. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.